are people still falling for romance scams? No, like when I see people like getting jailed for being a romance scammer, I'm like, how did you get these people to send you this much money? All right. Hi, Hackerproof family. We're back again with another episode. Thank you guys so much for your love, your support, and everything that you guys have done for us the past year. We have such great episodes coming, and we also have a really big event, March 17th. Mark your calendars. We're going to have some CISOs, CIOs, CTOs in the building locally here in Houston. Grab your tickets. We're going to have the link in the bios. We'll have it also in our description in the video too. So please make sure you grab your tickets. We want to see you guys. And yeah, let's continue to celebrate and have a good year. And in lights of good years, we have another beautiful guest in the building with us today, the CEO and founder of Cyberculture. I want to give you a warm welcome. Thank you so much for coming. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are?
Thank you so much for having me, Vicky.
You're welcome.
My name is Oluwadamilola Obamehinti, and like you said, I'm the founder and CEO of Cyberculture. I have about 15 years of experience in tech, specifically cybersecurity, and now I'm focused on different entrepreneurial ventures.
Tell us about these entrepreneurial ventures.
Okay, so Cyberculture, it is a cybersecurity consulting company.
Okay.
It actually started out as Nigerian Techie. A couple of years ago. So I had a brand called The Nigerian Techie, and so I was like, okay, why not just capitalize off of that and have a company called Nigerian Techie. We were featured in the Wall Street Journal.
Congrats.
Thank you. We did a lot of speaking engagements at like Salesforce and Capital One.
Amazing.
And then about 2 years ago, I reevaluated and wanted to be more inclusive. So I renamed the company Cyberculture.
Okay. And what is Cyberculture's mission? What are you guys trying to do for the tech community?
Yeah, so our motto, our tagline is promoting digital safety and then simplifying security. So really want to simplify security and privacy education.
Okay.
And then a component of that is providing opportunities for people to get into cybersecurity and stay in cybersecurity.
Do you guys teach people, or do you guys bring people to your events where you talk about it? Like, how do people get those gems that you're wanting to drop?
Yeah, so we do events. We're actually doing one with HackerProof headquarters on March 17th.
Yes.
And last year we did 2 events, one at Afrotech, one at Thanksgiving. And our Afrotech event was called the Matrix Mixer. So I really wanted to have a unique place for people to network. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It was also Afrotech. And we had the event on October 31st, which is, Halloween for people who celebrate.
Yeah.
So wanted to have like a cyberpunk Matrix theme.
Nice.
So,
That's
some
so
people,
cool.
Right. Some people dressed up.
Yeah.
And it was a very chill way for people to network with executives and professionals.
Okay, we're going to dive more into cyberculture, but before we get into it, we want to talk more about you and your journey. Okay, so tell us I know you worked in cybersecurity for a few years. Would you mind walking us through your journey, what you did, and then like eventually like what made you pivot essentially?
Yeah, so I started out at Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation as a GRC analyst.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I know you're a GRC
Yeah.
too. So that was just a really great foundation for, cybersecurity and privacy. And in that role, I was developing policies and procedures, but also gaining the executive presence to present to senior leadership.
Yes, that's key.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's key.
It really is. And I think like that's the differentiator. Whenever you do want to move into management or senior leadership, like knowing cybersecurity is great and having that technical background is great, but you really do need to be able to translate security into business value.
Yes.
Yep.
That's a really big one.
It is. Yeah.
And how long were you doing that for?
I did that for a couple of years, and then I got the opportunity after I graduated with my first master's to move to New York. And join a financial investment company. So.
Okay. Did you continue cybersecurity or did you pivot completely into the finance?
I was still doing cybersecurity, but, I've done it at different companies in different industries.
Okay.
So like finance, I worked at eBay in San Jose, California. And then most recently, I was at a healthcare company also doing cybersecurity.
Okay. And do you still do cybersecurity or have you completely pivoted into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I feel like taken the leap. And, it's scary to completely take the leap. But previously, I was doing both, a 9-to-5 and cyberculture. So, I'm really excited for, this new chapter.
Okay. What would you say was the main reason why you decided to make that transition, and how was that transition been for you so far?
That's a good question. So the main reason was I really wanted to build my own, brand and build my own company, because I thought of it like, okay, I've spent 15 years at different Fortune 100 companies, really big names. And if I was able to, succeed at that level, then how much more would I be able to do, focusing 100% on my own company.
Right. So you just wanted to build.
What has been your biggest challenge so far? Just building your brand and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I would say visibility. And I think that's kind of underrated, but it's so important, when you're building a personal brand or a company, because you can be doing amazing work, but if nobody knows about it, then, what good is it?
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays the tech scene, just the job market in general has changed, and you do need to have a brand. I see a lot of people building like their LinkedIn brands, like posting content, and people have literally got jobs from just being popular on LinkedIn and popular online. And like, what are some key, like for you, for instance, what are some things that you did to build your brand and to build your visibility? Was it going to conferences? Was it just posting online? Like, what are some things you did to cultivate your brand?
So earlier it was a Vimeo channel. I would say that was like my primary, brand visibility, where I focused. And that actually got me the job at eBay. Because, I did like freelance for Cybercrime Magazine. They're owned by Cybersecurity Ventures in New York. And I was interviewing CISOs and CIOs. And so I was publishing the videos and, doing little write-ups on that. And so when I applied to the eBay job, they said one thing they really liked was that I was able to talk to C-suite executives. And so they could, trust me to, work closely with the CISO.
Gotcha.
And then also, I'm so big on LinkedIn. I think it's still like underrated. And so I've really like invested on that platform within the last few years. And, I've gone to speaking engagements from, posting on LinkedIn. And I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of followers, but I've had a lot of CISOs and, C-suite execs say, I really like, the strategic analysis that you're posting or your different insights. And, been featured by LinkedIn News and just other outlets, like just opportunities that I never would have thought possible. Because, I took that leap to start posting because I thought it was cringe. Like, I've had a LinkedIn for like 13, 14 years, but I just started posting, 2-3 years ago.
When you started posting like on LinkedIn, did you have like a fear in the back of your mind, like, oh, what if my company sees like I'm posting, what are they going to think about me? Like, did they have any comments about you doing things like that? Like, did you have any issues at work?
You didn't follow them in the first place.
So, I always advise people to do what works for them. But at the time, I didn't even have my 9-to-5 listed on my LinkedIn. And I know, quite a few people who, do that. But if you, do look at my post, I'm never mentioning specific companies. I'm also never really referencing certain, personal events. It's more like I'm talking about research and stats. I might add in a personal anecdote, so people can connect with, but it's more so people can learn about leadership and cybersecurity and kind of get the real, because I do feel cybersecurity is one of those, subsectors of tech that a lot of people don't really know a lot about. Like, you just want to pull back the curtain and kind of give people what it really is like to work, in enterprise security.
Yeah. And for the CISO interviews that you did, what did they reach out to you? Did you go to places to meet these C-suite execs? Like, how did you build that C-suite network?
So how I got that freelance job was because of my background. Like, I have a degree in journalism, and then I also have, a degree in computer science and cybersecurity. So I think I was just like looking for freelance opportunities in New York while I was living there, and I saw that. I think it was on Indeed. And I applied, and, they got back to me really quickly. And the founder, he said that he liked that I was, had the communications background and was able to talk to, execs, but also had the technical background, because he said that was very rare to find, because a lot of people will be able to, you know, talk about the back end and the code, but
they
then,
don't know how to
right,
really...
when they get in front of, you know, a CISO, they kind of freeze up.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Did you guys have any questions? I don't want to hijack the interview.
No, so I guess like around the subject of, you know, talking to people in the C-suite, like what approach do you go in that room with? Like how do you know, structure your conversation, things of that sort?
So one thing about C-suite execs, they're very limited on time.
Mm-hmm.
So I always do my background research before I go into one-on-ones with them. Like in my last, you know, job and also at eBay, I had, you know, weekly and frequent one-on-ones with the CISO.
Mm-hmm.
So it was up to me to be proactive and present opportunities saying, I think you should talk about this on LinkedIn, or, you know, this particular conference is coming up, I think you should submit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just having an ear to some of the issues within the org, saying, you know, the security employees are feeling this particular way. Maybe we can, you know, have a town hall or, you know, ask me anything session. So kind of being that strategic advisor and partner.
Gotcha.
So they, you know, see you as someone that they can trust. And I think another thing too that I really, you know, advise for people who do want to work with C-suite executives is, you know, identify problems, but always come with a solution when you present it to C-suite execs.
Yeah.
What would you say your major, like, you know, the major differences between like working like a 9 to 5 when you were like doing your own GRC stuff and now, you know, being your own boss, basically?
I mean, I would say for a 9 to 5, there's the organizational structure. For cybersecurity, yes, there's always going to be, you know, incidents that come up, but for the most part, you kind of do know what you're going to expect, because a lot of security orgs at this point are, you know, relatively mature. You know, for entrepreneurship, you don't necessarily know what you're, you know, going to get, but I think that's why it's exciting and that's why I really like it. But I would say even some of my skills have been pretty transferable because I didn't just do GRC, I did incident response as well. And then I kind of moved into Office of the CISO for the last few years. And, you know, incident response, you have to, you know, have that time management, real-time crisis management skills, and that really helps in entrepreneurship, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so you did incident response in GRC. Like, which one would you say was harder for you?
Definitely incident response.
I can imagine. I feel like I had a feeling you were going to say that. And why so?
I mean, because there was one situation where there was like a global network outage. So, I mean, I feel like it doesn't get more stressful than that. But it really did help me to keep calm under pressure. And I think that's something that other people have noticed as well, like different colleagues at, you know, various places I've worked. They're like, okay, we like how, you know, you're just very cool, calm, collected. That is something that you need because you can't get too hype, because if you are, you're not going to have good, you know, physical or mental health insecurity. There's always going to be something coming up, something that needs to be turned around rather quickly.
And like you worked for some really like valid big name companies. I mean, can people still get those roles just by code applying nowadays, or like do you have to be a little bit more strategic now to like win, like to work with the eBay, for instance? Like, are you able to just get in code applying, or like what do people do now to like get those big companies in their resume?
So I mean, I got my job from code applying, but this was back at the beginning of the pandemic, 2020. So things have just completely changed, you know, the last few years, even the last 2 years in tech. So I would say you definitely have to be strategic. I'm not saying it's impossible to get a role off of cold applying, but, you know, you should be, you know, leveraging, you know, in-person events so you can get in front of C-suite execs or hiring managers, or, you know, focusing on your brand presence, whether that's through YouTube, you know, or GitHub portfolio, or, you know, regularly posting on LinkedIn, talking about, you know, what you're learning about or what you want to do, you know, in the industry. And even for me, having been a hiring manager, I would remember looking at resumes and, you know, there would be someone with, you know, CISSP or, you know, CCSP and all these certs and, you know, degrees. But when it came to the interview, you know, they couldn't tell me exactly what they've done. So it's just like, okay. Or it's just like, how are you different? You know? And that's a whole nother conversation, I guess, for, you know, the certs and exams, because I know people who have cheated their way to get certs. So it's kind of just like, okay, you have this cert, but
you can't really articulate the technical things in the interview. Yeah. And like nowadays, do you think certs, masters, higher education, do you feel like it still holds value? Do you think people should still invest a lot of money into those things, or what do you think people should well, I guess the question is, does it hold value, and if not, what should people invest their money and time into instead?
I personally love learning, you know, and just like acquiring knowledge, but you don't have to go the traditional routes and get a degree to get knowledge, you know? So I would say if you are paying for the degree, you should probably invest your money somewhere else. And if someone else is paying for it, or you have scholarships, then, you know, of course, you know, pay for that degree. For my graduate degrees, I got it completely paid for with scholarships. So I was just like, okay, you know, why not, you know, learn about this particular subject? But I know everyone may not have that opportunity. But then, you know, with AI now, you can just, you know, go into ChatGPT or Gemini and literally take a few hours a day and do a deep dive on a particular topic and be knowledgeable about it. So kind of like what, you know, just had talked about. If you can't articulate, you know, the concept, in my opinion, that means that you don't actually know it.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys have questions? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm hijacking sometimes.
No, you good.
Yeah. But like I just want to pivot just a little bit into cyber culture, because you guys are doing so much, and in lights of scholarships, I know you in the beginning you said you guys are awarding scholarships. Would you mind talking about like your scholarship program? Like if someone were to join cyber culture, what can they look forward to in your org?
Okay, so cyber culture, we're not actually a membership based community. You know, we're just, you know, regular cyber, you know, consulting company. But, you know, I've been blessed so much, so I do want to be a blessing. And last year was the first year we offered a scholarship to a cybersecurity college student.
Amazing. Yeah. That's a big win. Yeah. God bless you.
And I was, you know, so excited to do that. But he was a HBCU student, and we gave him $1,000 towards his education.
Amazing.
So this year we're going to up the amount to $2,500.
Okay.
And it'll be available to, you know, undergrad or graduate student in cybersecurity.
So who do you guys primarily service in cyber culture?
So some of our consulting clients have been like large corporations. I've mentioned that I did a lot of speaking engagements, but also like working with companies, teaching their employees about cybersecurity and privacy.
Okay.
So some of them have been, you know, Capital One. I spoke at their Capital One Fraud Summit, and I really did a deep dive to teach their employees about security. And in my talks, I like to do kind of unique things like using pop culture to teach certain concepts. So I don't know if you know that show Beef on Netflix.
No, I haven't. I think I know
the Road Rage one.
Yeah.
So remember how like they get into an argument, and she gets so mad, like she looks up his license plate on this data broker website, and then she finds his address. So I use that as an opportunity to say, this is, you know, like a point where someone can find out your personal information. So like for, you know, my driver's license, my vehicle registration, that's all attached to my P.O. box. You know, so if I lose my wallet or something like that, it's my P.O. box. Or even for, you know, property ownership, like I know for Texas they allow it and other states might not, so you kind of have to do your research, but you're able to, you know, hide who owns the property. So if someone goes to, you know, the property website or property tax, it won't show your name, it will just show current owner.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's just like one of those things you can do to protect your information, because, you know, in the U.S. we have to go above and beyond compared to other countries where they have certain laws and regulations to protect their citizens.
You did mention cyber culture, right? That was the name of the company. You said initially started in Nigeria? No.
So it originally was named Nigerian Techie because I had a personal brand that was pretty popular called The Nigerian Techie. So I kind of just wanted to, you know, keep it synonymous.
But it didn't originate in Nigeria.
No.
Okay. Because I thought it was like the Nigerian company and you moved it here. So I just wanted to know. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're getting to the money, which I like to see. I love to see people like once they've solidified themselves in their 9 to 5, kind of turn it into a way to make money. And like you doing cyber culture and getting clients is a nice tech exit strategy, I would say, per se. And in light of that, I would say if someone is working a 9 to 5 right now and they're considering a tech exit strategy, what are some like good ways for them to solidify themselves to where they can eventually pivot?
You got to think long term, and think about what you actually want to do. And I feel like for tech, it's one of those industries where you kind of get other bonuses and perks, you know, aside from the annual performance bonus, you know, and really high salaries. A lot of the roles have restricted stock units.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can use that and cash it out whenever it invests and use it towards, you know, certain investments or to buy property.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people in tech who have, you know, multiple Airbnbs and they use that as another stream of income. Or, you know, the speaking engagements, they use that as another stream of income.
Yeah.
Because if you're only reliant on, you know, your 9 to 5, you know, we see all the layoffs that are happening and a lot of people panicking. But whenever you have multiple streams of income, you know, you're not as worried.
Yeah, exactly. And if I wanted to get into the consulting field too, I think the biggest challenge for most people is finding those clients, especially those corporate clients like you did. Like, do you find them? Is it through your portfolio, like your LinkedIn presence, that gravitate those customers towards you, or do people have to get on the ground and meet people to get those clients?
So I think if you go the traditional consulting route, you know, like Accenture or Deloitte, then you already have built relationships with, you know, corporate clients because you're on different engagements within corporations. I did not go that route. It was from what you said. It was honestly from LinkedIn. Okay. Like if I think about some of the opportunities for either consulting or speaking engagements, like I was recommended. And
really?
For some of them, I still don't even know who did.
Wow.
You blessed.
Yeah, I remember.
That's favor.
Right.
Yeah.
All glory to God.
Yes.
But like the living security one, where I was going in and talking about cybersecurity and teaching their employees, they had contracts with different corporations, and so I'd asked the living security head of sales. I was like, who recommended me for this? Like, how did y'all find me? He's like, oh, I can't tell you who, but they saw your stuff on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And then we took a look at it and we're like, okay, yeah, we want to bring her in to teach about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So your consulting company, right, when it comes to cybersecurity, is there any specific thing they cover, or they cover everything cybersecurity?
Personally, for consulting, I don't think you can cover everything in cyber. If you're boutique,
you know,
if you're Deloitte or, you know, EY, then of course you have the resources to do that. I would say that our value proposition is training and awareness, and then strategic planning and program management, because a lot of those are working with either the C-suite to, you know, map out different, you know, product rollouts, service rollouts, and then also, you know, teach employees about security and privacy.
So those kind of cybersecurity awareness month with the training within the whole organization, building like a platform on how people to, you know, be aware of maybe phishing emails or stuff like that, something like that?
Yeah, I think phishing emails, that's a good start. And, you know, as social engineering is quickly evolving, we're now like moving into AI security and, you know, how to protect your information and kind of like giving those practical tips, like I mentioned before, about, you know, hiding your property ownership or, you know, your driver's license and stuff like that, because I really do feel like, you know, physical security, digital security, everything's kind of meshed now. But yeah, I mean,
fake and everything,
definitely.
Yeah. What are some AI risk, security risks that you've recently educated people on?
So I spoke at 2024 Afrotech, and one of the ones I spoke about was AI deepfakes. And, you know, a couple of years ago, you can kind of tell it was AI deepfake video because, you know, the words weren't matching up.
Yeah,
you know,
the eyes were going
right.
Good.
But now it's like gotten so good that you almost can't tell. Like, I don't know if have you seen Kling AI?
No, I haven't seen
that program. So I've seen some videos where the person will be talking and then there'll be another video. You cannot detect, and it's scary. And, you know, this obviously can be used for good, like, you know, cyber education, but also cyber criminals are using it to scam. You know, people like, I saw a guy was using it and he looked like a gorgeous woman. So you never would have been able to guess.
Wow. and he's using it too.
I know that has to be Nigeria or Ghana, man.
419. He's
Love
very
scams.
Right. He's very popular on social media, but he's pretty much like telling people, this is how you can scam people.
Wow.
You know, romance scams are going up. So I mean, I get the thread, but you can use it for, you know, good.
How are people still falling for romance scams?
Hey man, like, people are looking for love.
How are people still? No, like when I see people like getting jailed for being a romance scammer, I'm like, how did you get these people to send you this much money? I mean, I know somebody a really big one in Ghana. I won't mention her name, but I'm talking like this girl drives like a Lamborghini. She has a house, like, and she's the middleman in the scam. There's even somebody above her that's making more money.
Wow.
It's a whole
And I'm
organization.
just like, it's a whole organization on romance scams. Like, and it baffles me that people are able to make not even a living, a fortune off of scamming people in these romance scams. I don't know how people are still getting scammed, but like for people watching, like how can you not not only romance scams but job scams? Because I know people like reach out to you about fake jobs. Like what are some ways to proof out these scams that are coming out through AI? Is it a software I have to download on my computer? like what do people need to do?
No, I don't think you need to go that far, because the cyber criminals, they know the majority of people can't get, this specialized software to detect, that it's a scam or that it's a deep fake. It's really about just slowing down, because social engineering, it really appeals to human emotion, and they're trying to appeal to you being desperate or urgent. So even like these job scams, there's people who've been out of work for like almost a year, so they get a LinkedIn message saying, oh, we looked at your background, this could be a really good role for you. Do you mind sending us your resume? Do you mind sending us copy of driver's license or SSN? And like I read some of these posts and I'm like,
they've got people's bank details from these job posts. It gets serious,
and a legit job is not going to ask you for all of that, first or second,
that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Before you even signed your offer letter, they're already asking you for your routing number and bank account. What, please?
But people are, desperate. And when you kind of get into that mindset, it kind of goes out the window. Like, okay, is this actual job? But that's what I would say. Like, slow down. Really evaluate
what's going on here. The desperation is where they're bleeding out of. And you've worked with Wall Street. You've worked with so many really, really good, really like notable companies. And a lot of people watching today are probably in college or early career, and they kind of want to map out their careers to end up on these big stages and working, getting I don't know if they want to get at Wall Street, but they'd eventually want to be in the limelight. And like, is there a particular roadmap that they can follow in order to get there? Or like, what are some gems that you would give to them in order for them to develop themselves to be there eventually?
I feel like I've touched a lot on the brand presence and the visibility. I think that's really important. So whatever platform that you want to focus on and you feel that your skill set is good for, focus on that and, build up your brand that way. I think another thing is just getting the experience, because, a lot of people entering into this field saying, oh, I want to speak on this stage, I want to do this, but you honestly have to have the experience
to do
first
to
be able to talk about it, in front of all these audiences. Gaining the experience, and then the opportunities will follow as you get, better and more specialized.
Okay. So experience and branding is going to be key in order to build that leverage to be in the limelight.
I would say, and then even executive presence, because I've seen like engineers who are brilliant, but they're not able to present to C-suite executives. So you kind of just have to decide like what path in cyber you want to go. Do you want to be like a distinguished engineer? Do you want to be a technical fellow? Or do you want to be in the C-suite? And it's a totally different set of skills. And you can have the technical background, but you really need to, be able to read a room, have that emotional intelligence, be able to translate data into, business language. And that's what really makes you excel in the C-suite.
I have a question, though. This is going to sound a little bit deeper. But then why do you think that people with like the engineers or the analysts with their technical skills don't have the same kind of social skills with people like in GLC and people who audit, who are able to speak to C-suite people? Like, why is it that they have that kind of, I don't know, there's that barrier.
The social battery.
There's that social skill. Because like it's very hard to find someone who is very technical.
Right.
And is also very open and is able to talk to like C-suite before like, getting, like scared or panicking or something.
I don't know. I don't like to overgeneralize, but I would say you kind of just have to keep practicing. Like it's a skill, speaking. and getting comfortable in front of people. So me personally, I'm an introvert, but whenever I tell people, they're always like surprised.
Yeah.
But no, I really am. But I've just, gotten so comfortable being able to, talk to different types of audiences
Right.
and, communicate my, solutions and communicate, what I need to get done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Would you ever consider making cyberculture a membership platform? Just because I think, like, not only are you training, corporations on how to, protect themselves and just training and awareness, but I think professionals need training and awareness too, just on how to develop themselves, to talk to C-suite executives, how to build their portfolios. Would you ever consider that line of work?
That's a good question. So it actually was, I guess, more consumer based, not membership based back in the day, but I was helping clients with their resumes and interview prep skills. But some of the people did not want to pay for the service.
Gotcha.
And it's like, okay, at the time I had 10 years of experience. It's like, I'm giving you all this game, you should be willing to invest, some money into, your own career. So I don't know, I might consider it in the future if there is enough interest for it. So
yeah. Okay. And before we wrap up, I just got the thought to ask you about have you ever experienced corporate politics when you were working? Did you ever have to navigate corporate politics to get in front of those high level execs, or what are some corporate politics strategies you did in order to get yourself in those places?
Ooh, yeah.
Because
you could do a whole other episode about that.
I know, because it's sometimes not just about the work, but you do have to play the game, to get there. Yeah, what are some strategies you feel like helped you?
Picking the right side, I guess.
Corporate politics is just a part, like you said, of the game, and especially when you get director level and up and you're working with all those type of people, I would say emotional intelligence is key. Being able to read the room, and also just having that integrity and that good reputation and character. Do what you say when you say you're going to do it, and then people will begin to trust you with greater responsibility. Also be someone who isn't talking about people behind their back. And then people recognize that. And then also I'm the type of person, I let my work speak for myself in regards to not like being a brown noser. That's the political word, right? Yeah, and I will talk about my work and I will advocate for myself, but in regards to saying, I want this particular role, so I'm going to schmooze with this person, I've never been that way. I know that is a route for corporate politics, but people have such a greater respect for you when, you're not a brown noser and you actually have the work to back it up.
Gotcha. Okay. And what is a brown noser? That's the first time I heard of brown nosing.
It's the politically correct term. I don't want to curse, but yeah.
Brown nosing. Is it I don't know, snooping?
Maybe it's a Nigerian term. My parents would always say brown noser.
I don't know. I don't
Isn't it no, again, I don't want to say it, but
no one wants to curse.
Oh, okay. And before we wrap up, do you guys have any other questions to ask?
No, I'm good.
Okay. In the light of time, then, when we usually wrap up the episode, we give the space for the guests to ask HackerProof any questions that you have for us, things that we're doing, or whatever you're curious about in terms of HackerProof. We like to give you guys the space to ask us any questions.
I mean, I've always admired your content and the brand. So could you talk a little bit about how you have grown HackerProof headquarters, and where the idea came from, and what people should focus on if they do want to, grow a YouTube channel and brand presence like y'all have.
Yeah. Who should take it? Because I feel like we all kind of have our little
I mean,
spiel
we can
on that.
all go by. Maybe you could start with it, then I'll come in after.
What you want to say?
Yeah, I think, when we started off, it was just to inform people of cybersecurity. We started posting, basically what we posting, like PDFs on Instagram. Yeah. And then we started talking on camera, got comfortable with it, right? And then people started following, liking the content, and then we said, okay, well, let's take it up a notch. Let's, bring other guests, let them tell their stories about where they come from, where they're trying to get to. And then we, took it to the event space and said, okay, let's bring people together. How can we network? How can we utilize each other to get to the next step? And then I think ultimately we're just trying to get to that, place where we can just be a community to bring folks together, basically.
I love that.
We want to get to a space where we have like a platform where we can, train people, get people to understand more about cybersecurity, and don't feel any kind of, pressure or it's something too high for them to do. It's just like basic people like you and I. I wasn't in security till I met these guys, right? So when I go here, I could do it, you could do it too. So we're just trying to bring people, like-minded people who look like us, into that community and just to, grow from there, basically.
Yeah, I think they summed it up pretty much. It's just a group of friends that have similar interests. We work in similar spaces, and we just want to have fun and educate people while doing it. And honestly, we really didn't map out it's going to be like this, but things just started rolling, and we just started going with the punches and freestyling and just moving on faith. And then God has helped us throughout the way. So that's how, and we have more to come. I mean, our event in March, just look at how we just all were like, yes, let's do it. We pushed forward, we're going. Things like that is really what's helped.
We have our AI app coming up and all those things. So we have more things coming up. So viewers will be able to see it soon.
Yes.
Love that.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Another great episode. Like, share, subscribe. We'll have Cyberculture's information in the description. Please follow her on all platforms, and on LinkedIn. We'll have everything down below. Look forward to the event in March. And we also have a new software coming out. I know we've been talking about it and alluding to it, but just be on the lookout, you guys. And we thank you for the support. And with that, it's a wrap. Thank you, guys.